Good morning, everybody, or I suppose probably good afternoon at this point. First, I want to introduce you to somebody. Let's see if I can. Where is she? There is my kitty. Hello, Madison. Ooh, she was just sitting in the sun. All right, so I've got chapters, excuse me, 8 and 9 for you this morning. And again, there's going to be questions right down here below me in the description. I would love it if you answered them, checked in on some of them, said hello, let me know that you're enjoying the book, keeping up with the chapters. So chapter 8, we have just arrived in Oaxaca. So I found out how to pronounce that city that they're going to be in. In comparison to the airport, Tia Maria's home feels quiet and peaceful. It's also very different from our place in Chicago. Maria's house stands by itself on a big piece of land surrounded by mountains, and it is painted red. Our place is brick and only a few feet from the neighbors. Her house looks like an old hacienda, is our first Spanish word, and ours is just a house. I touch the walls of her home with my hands. It doesn't feel like brick. It's made of adobe, Maria says. What's that, I ask. Adobe is a house made out of mud and other natural materials. Look, there's a first picture. Just a cactus. When it dries, it's as strong as brick, she says. It helps the house stay naturally cooler in the summer. People have been making houses this way for thousands of years. My mouth drops open. Let's drop off your maletas, and then I'll take you around. After we leave off our bags in the biggest guest room, Maria takes us on a tour of her home. The walls are covered with pictures of her from her adventures. Each picture is more impressive than the next. This is at the United Nations, she points at one picture, when I was on a women's rights committee. I'm not quite sure what the United Nations is, but it sounds awfully important, especially anything related to women's rights. I learned in Ms. Bell's class that women haven't always had the same rights as men. The fact that Maria was on a committee for them means she must be a special person. Amazing, I replied. It's important to me to make sure that you and all women have the opportunity to be and do whatever you want, she says, looking at me with her bright green eyes. Then I see a framed picture of Maria, sitting on some rocks next to the beach. She looks much younger, but there is the same sparkle in her eyes. And this picture is from Barcelona when I was teaching at the university out there. Wow, I replied. It's all I can say. She must be super smart, too. She's like my own personal Sylvia Earle. I hope you brought your swimsuit, she winks. We'll go to the beach in a day or two. I nod enthusiastically. Then I run up to Mom and squeeze her hand. I'm excited too, she says, taking the words right out of my mouth. And I'm hungry, Nick adds. Maria takes us to the historic part of Oaxaca City for dinner. It's easy to tell that it's old because the streets are cobbled. The buildings are also brightly painted red, orange, and yellow. The plazas are filled with plants and artesanos selling their crafts. As we pass other people on the street, I notice many of their faces look like mine. This makes me more than ever want to fit in, like I belong in a place where I was born. So when I find a postcard for Stanley, I ask Mom if I can buy it myself. Mom gives me the change so I can pay the vendor 10 pesos. We don't say much, but I make sure to start with hola and end with muchas gracias, to which he replies, de nada, señorita, which means no problem. I skip back to Mom, who gives me the thumbs up. A tiny step in the right direction, I think. Then we continue our walk. Maria leads us through a doorway to a secret restaurant. Well, it's not really a secret, but it's hidden from the street. You have to go between two stores into a beautiful courtyard to find the restaurant. It's called Las Danzantes, Maria says. Does that mean the dancers? Says Nick. Yes. Very good, Nicholas, says Maria. Weird, I think. This is the third time this summer I've heard him called Nicholas. I wonder if I can still call him Nick. My stomach rumbles and I focus on the more pressing issue, dinner. As I look at the menu, I think I can understand half the words, like postre, which means dessert. Yes, por favor. Verduras is mostly good. I like most vegetables, although not eggplant. Can we try the chapulines? I asked Maria, pointing at the menu. She looks impressed. Of course, they're a delicacy, she says. If you eat them, you'll be a true Mexicano. I quickly realize that it doesn't matter what is on the menu. Because of Maria, we're being treated like special guests. Maria has been living in Oaxaca for most of her adult life and knows everyone. The owner even comes out to say hello to us. He hugs and kisses her and says a few things I can't understand. My eyes start to glaze over. Finally, he looks at me and says more slowly, Tu tía es una mujer muy importante. So I'm guessing that means your aunt is a woman that is very important. You must take after me, says Mom to Maria. If the owner of a restaurant says Maria is very important, then she really must be. I think about the amazing women in my family. Hopefully I can grow up to be like them one day. As requested, we get an order of chapulines. When I see them, I'm immediately not a fan. Neither is Nick. Grasshoppers? We exclaim. No se preocupes, niños. Let me show you. I think that's probably going to see, don't worry, kids. Maria scoops a few into a corn tortilla and adds avocado and pickled onions, and she hands it to me. I grab it hesitantly from her. I stare for a few seconds. I can hear Maria's and Dad's voices echoing in my head how they're a delicacy and how I'm a true Mexicana if I eat it. I close my eyes, I squinch my face, and I slowly take a bite. It's crunchy, but it's also very salty and tastes like lime. Yum, I say. I'm not lying either. It's delicioso. With our stomachs full of food, we head back to Maria's and drift off to sleep in one giant room on different cots. I feel electric and still a little nervous. I'm so happy to be in Mexico, but I also wish that I could wake up tomorrow a fluent in Spanish. Before I shut my eyes, I whisper, "Thank you, Mom, for the vacation." Nick whispers, "Yeah, Mom." I think I spot a smile on his face. "You're welcome, niños," Mom replies with an even bigger smile. Chapter 9. This is a big day, actually. It's not till the third day of vacation that we finally make it to the beach. I could hardly sleep the night before in anticipation of my first seaside experience. "Are you excited, Mom?" I whisper to her in the morning after the alarm clock rings. It's super early, so early that it's still dark outside. We're in the same time zone as Chicago, so it's probably still dark at home, too. I bet Jenny, Linda, and Biscuit are still asleep. The fact that the sun isn't up yet doesn't matter to me. I'm ready to get our day started. "Of course I love the beach," she says, yawning. "I can't wait to share it with you." We packed up the car the night before, so we're able to hit the road right away after some papaya and breakfast tamales. Maria drives the car since she knows the way. Mom and I sit in the back seat while Nick drags himself in a sleepy daze to the front seat. His legs are getting too long for the back. He falls asleep right away. After an hour, the sun finally rises. "Only 3 more hours," I exclaim. Good grief, a 4-hour trip. Now, 4 hours in the car can't seem like a long time normally, but when you've been waiting your whole life to see the ocean, it's nada. I try reading to make the time pass by, but I get queasy on the winding roads. Thankfully, Mom opens the window to make me feel better. She also reads aloud from a Sylvia Earle biography to distract me. The combination of her soothing voice and the cool breeze helps me feel nearly perfect. "She's a fascinating woman," Mom says, holding the book in her lap. Turns out Sylvia Earle founded something called Hope Spots around the world through her organization Mission Blue. These are spots where no fishing or drilling is permitted. The idea is they can help preserve the oceans and offset some of the pollution. As we get closer to the beach, the air begins to smell salty. It's more noticeable than I ever imagined. Though I'm surprised, it does make sense. The amount of salt in the oceans could cover the whole planet 50 meters deep. Now, 50 meters is about 150 feet. So that's like if you were able to stack, 350, I think, 5 telephone poles on top of each other. That's how much salt we'd be buried in. On the horizon, I see a little strip of blue. At first, I think the blue might be the sky, but it shimmers. When I'm sure, I shout with delight, "El Oceano!" "Calm down, kiddo. It's still early," Nick groans, shifting around in the front seat. "Which ocean is it?" I whisper to Mom, ignoring Nick. "El Pacifico. You know, you've been there before." "Really?" I reply, confused. "You saw it when I was pregnant with you." "That doesn't count. I was in there," pointing to her belly. "Claro que cuenta?" She wraps her arms around me. The strip of blue grows and grows on the horizon. As we get closer, finally Maria pulls the car into the hotel parking lot. As soon as we are parked, we walk through the hotel. Mom and Maria want to look around the lobby, but all I want to do is go outside. I tug at Mom's arm impatiently. Okay, okay, Mom replies. When we finally reach outdoors, I dart toward the beach. I rip off my sandals. The warm sand feels cozy under my toes. Then I stop, staring face to face with the ocean. For the first time, I am speechless. It's huge and lovelier than I ever imagined. Now I understand why people dedicate their entire lives to studying and protecting it. I turn around. Everyone is happy too. Even Nick is smiling, so much so I can see all his teeth. This is the first time in a long time that I've seen him this happy. Standing away from my family, I can fully see how much taller Nick has gotten. He's taller than both Mom and Maria. He turns 15 soon, but it's the first time I noticed that he doesn't really look like a kid. Nick, how do I get in? I ask hesitantly. I love the ocean, but it's so big and wide that it makes me feel nervous to jump in. Nick chuckles. You just got to put in 1 foot at a time, he says. I cautiously walk up to the water while studying everything around me. There is an entire small world on the beach. There are shells that look just like the ones I've seen at the craft store. There are even itty-bitty hermit crabs scuttling around from spot to spot. As I get closer, I notice how the waves seem to say hola and adios over and over as she is getting ready. She's thinking about it. At first, I do almost a dance with the ocean. I walk toward the water when it says goodbye, and I walk backward when the waves crash toward me saying hi. I do that a few times until I see the other kids my age just run in. They look so happy and unafraid. I pump my fist and say, I can do this. I finally move in each toe and wait for the next wave. I squeal with delight when the warm water rushes over my feet. See, you've got it. Quick, try digging your feet in the sand before the next wave hit, Nick says. With my feet stuck in, the wave flows over. It feels as if the ocean is pulling me in. I scream and look at Nick. He's in the same spot as before, and so am I. We're not moving. Cool, isn't it? He replies. I yell, Mom, come play with us. Sí, pero primero sunblock. But first, sunblock. Mom slathers us with sunscreen until our brown skin is chalky white and smells of coconuts. Then, with a nod of approval, the three of us run into the waves. It's easier to be brave with them by my side. I put on my goggles to see if I can see anything in the magical blue world below. On my first try, I see nothing and instead inhale salty water. I don't mind it one bit, although I do have to spit some water out. With some practice, I am able to catch a peek at a few tiny fishes and some seaweed. I want to do this all the time when I grow up, I whisper to myself. After a little while, Mom decides to join Maria under a hotel umbrella on the beach. Estoy cansada, have fun, Mom says as she walks away. A little later, Nick and I get tired of swimming too, so we go exploring the beach. I scan everything with my eyes so I don't miss a thing. I spy seagulls and pelicans flying overhead. Over in the trees, I can see green birds with blue patches near their eyes and iguanas soaking in the sun. There are even coconut shells in the sand. And here we go, look at that, a full page. She is with her goggles and her snorkel and her polka dot swimsuit. She likes polka dots. Look on the cover, huh? Then we discover tucked away a sea turtle nest. This is very exciting for Stella. I've never seen one before in my life, but I can recognize it from my books. The nest has nearly 100 white eggs covered with sand. The eggs are white like the color of toothpaste and the size of ping pong balls. Part of me wants to grab one, but even though there are lots of them, I don't. As a new future shed summer camper, I know I mustn't. It's important to not disturb wildlife and never leave a trace. Plus, their mom will miss them. Standing near the nest is a scientist with red hair and freckles. At least, I think he's a scientist, because he examines the eggs and places a sign around them. What are you doing? Asks Nick in Spanish. Just making sure the eggs are safe. We're protecting them from people, the man replies in Spanish, but with an American accent. Can I ask you a question? I ask in English. Of course, he replies, and he looks relieved to be speaking in English. I can relate. Why do they need protection? I can't imagine someone hurting them. Well, once their mom digs a hole for the nest, she lays her eggs and then returns to the ocean. Before she leaves, she does her best to protect it from predators by covering up the nest with sand. The problem is, Many people travel on this beach. It can be hard to notice the nest, especially if you're not paying attention. So I'm sure nobody means to hurt them, but sometimes people will accidentally trample on them with their feet or a vehicle. It's my job to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm watching out for these little guys while learning more about them. I nod. I want to be a marine biologist, I tell him. That's great! Another person to care for our oceans. Suddenly, I hear a new voice. It's a girl about my age. She's pulling her dad toward the sea turtles. Papa, mira, me encanta las tortugas. Yo también, I reply, agreeing that I also love the sea turtles. She speaks Spanish to me for a couple of minutes about the sea turtles. She does it at a normal pace, so I'm able to understand her. Then she asks, ¿De dónde eres? I respond, soy de Chicago. So where are you from? I'm from Chicago. Que triste. I don't know what that means. She then explains why she is sad. Oh, maybe that's what it means. She hoped that I might be a local like her so we could become friends. I nod and secretly grin. A new friend is great. I'm just happy that she saw me as someone from Mexico too. Maybe I belong more than I think. We say our goodbyes to each other and wish the turtles good luck. Buenas suertes, bebés. All right, that's it. So again, look down here in the comments, not the comments, in the description. There'll be things to look up, words to look up, questions to answer, videos to watch if you want to go to someone. Maybe it's about some of the turtles and the shed aquarium and a few different other things. So it was great to see everybody. We're going to try to figure some stuff out, and we'll be seeing each other more often. Go outside and play. It's cold today, I know, but it was cold yesterday. I was outside all day. I was taking apart a swing set. Go outside and play. See you tomorrow.